If you have spent any time around young men or boys, you've probably heard of the Manosphere. People know it as a dark corner of the internet where influencers preach strength without empathy or dominance without compassion. And if you're anything like me, you've probably asked yourself two questions. Number one, what is wrong with these guys? And number two, how did we get here? Over the last decade, I've had conversations with men and boys from the classroom to the boardroom about masculinities, and I want to suggest something that might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but bear with me. What if this Manosphere stuff isn't just about a fringe group of bad apples somewhere at the far reaches of the internet? What if this is about a generation of men and boys who feel unanchored, unseen, and unheard? You see, the Manosphere has gone mainstream. These days, you can't jump onto TikTok or YouTube without coming across a charismatic, usually bald, super jacked influencer dropping truth bombs about masculinity, manhood, and modern society. And the messaging is always the same. We are all in a zero-sum game, where women's gain is men's loss. Men are the victims, and women and feminism are the perpetrators. And the only solution is a return to traditional gender roles and the adoption of an alpha male mindset. Now, at the same time, the stereotypes, misogyny, and transphobia that run rampant across the Manosphere, at their least, hold women and girls back, and at their worst, lead to extreme acts of violence. But before we rush to condemn, we have to ask the question, why is this stuff working? What is it about these voices that is cutting through to millions of young men? Now, firstly, it's important for us to remember that none of this stuff is new. Patriarchal ideas about real men being strong and dominant and always in charge and hypersexualized and emotionless have been around for a long time. But secondly, could it be that beneath all of the anger and underneath all of the bravado lies something much more human? A search for belonging. You see, all of the data points in the same direction. 1 in 4 boys in the UK grows up without an identifiable male role model or father figure in the home. Boys are twice as likely to be excluded from schools as girls. Suicide is still the leading cause of death for men under the age of 45 in the UK, and men's mental well-being is reportedly rapidly declining. The research also shows that men and boys are not going online looking to spread hatred. What they are looking for is connection and solutions. But when they get there, they're met with conversations that blame them for being too fragile or blame society for being too feminized. But what if neither of those things are true? What if our men and boys aren't actually broken? What if our systems are? The ways we parent, the ways we educate, the ways we police. You see, we tell young boys to share their emotions, but we don't give them the language to do it. We tell men to open up and talk about how they're feeling, but we don't model what that looks like. So when the Manosphere reaches out and says, the world is against you, be strong, be powerful, that message feels simple, maybe familiar, maybe even comforting. And that is where we have a problem, because we don't just need to raise more awareness about the Manosphere. What we need is to reach men and boys where they are. And I believe that begins with having conversations about power, about privilege, and about patriarchy. But most importantly, about how the young men and boys who also suffer under those systems are existing, even though they've only inherited them. Now, over the last decade, I've been using something called the Alec Model. It's a simple conversational framework which has 4 main points. Number 1, asking. Number 2, listening. Number 3, encouraging action. And number 4, checking in. We'll start with asking. This is an invitation, not an interrogation. I often encourage parents to spend 20 minutes sitting side by side with their young people and watching their social media feeds together, and just to be curious about what they're seeing. That has to be followed by number 2, which is listening actively and without judgment. And I know it's difficult, I know, but I promise you, if you can get it right, that is where the magic begins to happen. Number 3, encouraging action. We're not looking for perfection here. We're looking for progress. Where you see critical thinking being displayed or empathy, affirm those things. Encouraging someone to take a step towards action is a great way of moving them from intention to impact. And number 4, checking in. The conversation after the conversation. For so many of us, we have one conversation and then write people off. But asking whether there's been anything that's changed or if they've had any chats with anybody else is a great way of keeping the conversation alive. Now, when we begin to do these things, we see things begin to shift. Young men and boys begin to reimagine what masculinity can look like for themselves. Strength and gentleness, ambition and empathy, confidence and care. So maybe the manosphere isn't the disease that we all think it is. Maybe it's just another symptom, a cry for connection in an age of disconnection. And maybe we need to stop asking what's wrong with our men and our boys. And we need to start asking, what do our men and our boys need from us? Thank you.